How's it going, everyone? It's Jake Nicholls here, my video blog.
Motocross, that ain't all that, to be honest with you. I went to a meeting one time and I just see a muddy field with lots of men in it. Obviously I'd like to try and adapt him to my type of style of riding. I try my best, he'd try his best, but basically he's never going to be as quick as what I used to be.
So you've got all your safety kit on there, you look in the park now. Now just, isn't that helmet there, you know, is that a moped rider's helmet?
No, this helmet was basically designed for me for the Chippenham race in the year 2000, which I hole-shotted with this helmet on. That was made to let basically more air in so the rider could breathe easier, and these were like sort of prototype goggles at the time, which now have probably developed a lot of the goggles that Jake is using today.
Oh, the technique that he had in the year 2000 is pretty unique. So if I can get any ounce of that, I'll be pretty happy today.
This bike ain't right. Technique was there. Yeah, maybe the bike isn't perhaps up to exactly what I'd expect someone like me to ride with, but well, the proof will be in the eating. Watch him race, watch him start, and you'll see what it's all about. Mental, you've got to get it there. Stay focused, right? Don't let your mind go wandering off all under other things that's going on in your life. It's all about being focused. The technique is there. Do it, show me the technique. Yeah. Together, they've got to work together. It's got to be smooth.
I can't get it together.
Yeah, no, you will do. Smooth, you've got to feel it.
How do you do that together?
Stiff.
You good?
It needs work.
You know, you're going to need all the help you can get now, I suppose, with Steve on the KTM team with you. What's his new bike like?
Well, he's gone a bit serious now, really. Like, he's gone for the smaller version, and I mean, he's a big old boy, you know. So I can't really work that out. I mean, he's about 5 or 6 stone heavier than me, but he's gone for the smaller wheels, and I hear he's good at scrubbing it and that at the minute.
Sorry, mate. Who's that behind us?
That is Steve practicing the turns and that, I think. Yeah. What are you being interviewed, man?
What's he doing?
Well, I don't know. I did tell him I was going to be interviewed, so for him not to crash and that, like. Oh, look, he's training now. He's taking it so seriously nowadays.
Oh, is he like this all the time?
No, he's gone. He's turned like. He used to be my trainer and stuff, but I don't know. It's just gone a bit.
He's no coming. Don't say anything. Right, mate. Right.
Winning. That's the main plan. Not being funny. Started off helping Jake, but well, at the end of the day, I've done all the work. I put the work in, and I think, well, hang on here, that's going in the wrong direction. I could be doing this himself. I'm 38. The way I see it, I've got another 10-year career.
10 years, so you'll be almost 50 and you can still ride professional motocross?
Stanley Matthews done it in football.
Your relationship with Jake, so what, is there a rift sort of?
Well, now basically I see him as a competitor. Where else can it go? The friendship ends, doesn't it? Once we were, sort of together, now we're going apart, like that. If you look at that, look, that's friendship. That's actually not friends now, is it? That's friends. No, we're not, I've been over sort of statesides and that on the Xbox, and I've done well on that, on MX Reflex. Had a few podiums. Been learning the tracks basically on the Xbox. Saves the money, obviously, travelling abroad and whatnot, and invest in that. Don't see the point. These were actually developed by NASA last year. If you look currently in the papers and the press, they are selling the space shuttle with no engines. That's because they're in my bike. Half of the suits and stuff, I will be actually wearing astronaut equipment for clothing. And yeah, all I can say is just watch the results.
Can I have your autograph, please?
Yeah, who do you want it made out to?
To Hazel, please.
Where do you want it?
Not there.
Ah.
Just on here, I'll be fine.
Ah, right.
Are you Jake Nicholls?
No, I'm not.
Stephen Sword?
No, I'm Steve, the Holeshot King.
Oh. Jake's much better looking.
Give it some beans.
Yeah, I mean that's the sort of thing you'd normally do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Just drop the clutch and give it some helmet.
So that's it. So yeah. So
that's all in. That's,
oh, hello.
that's in that technique. Seriously, you know, you get on the start gate and
Don't you give it beans then?
and you just give it a big handful, and the old girl
Right.
just picks up and away you go.
Well, I was going to get Jake sort of drop it in first, and slowly release the clutch and slowly increase the revs.
Not being funny, you know, he's whole shot at the few Grand Prix. You know, that's nothing to me, is it?
Well, what have you done then?
To be honest with you, this film's about Jake, isn't it? You know, they've got me to wear the T-shirt. You know, film crew. Just as soon as they come here, you know, it's, I'll demonstrate later on.
Right. So what sort of technique do you use then?
Basically, that's all in that.
So what's that right hand doing?
That right hand just works.
Is that the beam control? Is it
That's
just
the,
giving it
that's
a
the
beam?
control. You just got that. You see, that's you. That's you. Together. So you're smooth.
So helmet and beams together.
Yeah. Let that go, and she goes. That's the way to do it.
So have you got any sort of special techniques with your bike then? This is obviously Jake's got a great bike here then, but what's your bike like?
My bike is similar to this. Obviously, this is I had this 10 years ago. My bike was developed, a lot from a lot of top secret stuff that's been sort of found sort of locally in Rendlesham Forest and stuff like that, from like the alien landings in the 80s. We sort of built the sort of frame out of meteorite dust and stuff like that. Yeah, that's totally different.
You need to explain how it's easier for you to start, because like obviously I have the tapered bars, so I sit up front and sort of get my sort of head and everything over the bars like that.
Yeah,
but
so
like the way you do it, you're sort of in the middle of the seat, and because you've got such a big head, like the handlebars are sort of like that, and you can get your head sort of over there.
basically,
And you don't even use a whole shot device, do you? That's almost like cheating.
That is
really,
actually
isn't it?
true, to be honest with you. Jake has picked up on something there that he obviously observes, watches the master.
That is pretty much cheating.
That
isn't it,
is
almost?
well, I don't know.
I mean, you don't have one of them whole shot devices, do you? You just get your
all
old
like-
Swede over there.
One time in one of the GPs that I was racing, there is a rule that no one's load in front of the gate, and effectively my head was in front of it, and I actually had to get moved back 5 metres. But not being funny, that made no difference. My head was over the front mudguard, keeping the weight down. Obviously, whole shot it still there. Yeah.
But I mean, other people, like there's obviously other people that with big heads in racing as well, but they can't quite get it because you've got like such skinny legs, like it's sort of like the weight ratio sort of just mixes around the bike.
That's
Doesn't it?
where
But other people sort of like Deruva can do it, but he hasn't got a big head, you see, because he's got legs like your legs are like his, so they're nice and small. You know what I mean? But where the weight mixes nicely. Do you know what I mean?
That's true. That's very true. You've got to have a perfect combination, sort of head. I actually went into an oxygen tank to make my head bigger, to actually put for racing. Done it obviously because that's very important. Made me head bigger, kept me legs small. Top half obviously stayed bigger just to sort of stay strong. So pretty much my head do most of the work while riding. Obviously in balancing the jumps as well as thinking. You've got to think while riding. There's no good just going out there, is there? Wondering what's about. You've got to use the head, big brain. Yeah, weight forward, all over.
How did you keep your legs small though? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, well, basically you wrap them in cling film.
Did you use a gym frame, didn't you?
Instead of
walking,
basically I wrapped my legs in cling film, iced them, and spent 4 years like that.
Yeah.
As a kid.
That's the sort of commitment you need, though, isn't it?
Not being funny, if you want to get anywhere in motocross, that's just sweat, blood, and tears, and a lot of them. That's all I can say. I used to cry every night. Yeah. One day I'll be the Holeshot King, and I am.
And what about when you shave? Because obviously you've got a different technique of shaving, because you could miss a fair bit there. Does that sort of does that come into it?
Yeah. That's, not being funny, that's all part of it. Like you just have your helmet and the wind cuts straight through, that causes drag. These hairs here just direct the air basically down to your body, keeps it cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right, well, we'll crack on with some riding then, will we? Looks like we found a new star for the film.
Hello, my name is Jake Nicholls. I am a complete arsehole. I have a really smelly moustache and a massive nose. I am 22 years old and I come from Saxmundham. and that, and that, and that, and that, and that.